Yo, we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Roundball Ramble podcast. I'm your host, Corban Ford. You can follow me on Twitter at Corban NBA, Corban NBA. Check out Swish Theory at Swish Theory. Check out Sports Ethos at Sports Ethos. All good content, all great work, all great people. Today, we are going right out of, we're doing a more general NBA discussion, something I'm very excited to be doing. And we are talking young cores, and I have one of the best guests. You know, it's funny. It's going to be determined. I'll probably look back on the episodes later. We've known each other for years, talked for a while. We thought we've been on the show before. My memory sucks. If y'all listen to this, y'all know that. But he's a good one. If y'all are on NBA Twitter at some point in time, y'all have seen him. You can follow him on Twitter at Zak Noble, all one word. That is also the name of our guest, Zak Noble. Check him out on Ball is Life. Host the All Things NBA podcast. Zak, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Can't believe it's our first time on the waves together, but looking forward to getting after it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's crazy. It's been ships passing in the night, I guess. I don't know, but I'm happy it's here. But yeah, for today's topic, yeah, NBA young cores has been something. It's around that time I like to think about young cores anyway, where you're taking stock of the team. You've kind of seen the ups and downs for these young squads that are, bottom of the barrel, but always reasons to look at the prospects there for whatever hope that they've shown or progression in their development, whatever the case may be. And in this one, I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Zach, because we're talking about our top young cores, not only as to where they stand right now, which of course, black and white static boom, but also where they possibly could be. So a team ranked number 3 could easily be number 1 in a year and a half, pending this person's health. And if this person's shot keeps progressing, whatever the case may be. So I'm definitely excited to kind of have this conversation with you. And yeah, when you first started putting together your list, kind of what was going into mind for you?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I did 24, I did 25 and under over the summer, and it's crazy how quickly things change. A big part of it is just, second, third year guys popping off. Rookies, there's a couple that are doing amazing things that are contributing to these cores, but it's not a very deep rookie class. So keep in mind, we're more so 23 and 24 versus younger, I'd say. And the big key here for me is like depth versus a young core versus top echelon. Um, I tend to lean towards, one or two studs versus depth of a core. So uh, people have their preferences. They'd rather have multiple shots at a lottery ball, but I tend to believe that my track record's pretty good with projecting guys. So I'd rather stick with the couple guys I believe in more than others. And I kind of tied my rankings to how good they are right now versus where I can see them at their end of their careers.
I like that. Yeah, I definitely think it's going to lend itself to a very fun conversation. And so we didn't really put major guidelines on this. Literally, like the outline was a sentence of, yeah, I think we should talk young cores. Boom. That's why I share with Zach. So the rough outline of this was basically 24 and under. We could talk about a 25-year-old guy. It's close enough. I'm not a big stickler on that. I still think you're young at 25. Once you get 26, 27, development-wise, yeah, there's an issue. But I know it's easier for 24. For the most part, we keep it 24. And then we did top 5. But the reason why we did top 5 is because we probably went longer than that. But that is what I'm saving for this first segment, the honorable mention segment. And so this will kind of, peel back the layer on our rankings here. But I want to get your list, Zach, of your honorable mention teams before we get your number 5 and kind of go that way.
Yeah, so I would say there's a tier from, I'd say I threw 1 through 7 is a tier in themselves, and then you get into this giant tier. Tier 2 goes from like 8 to, I'll go 13, where I can see it pretty interchangeable till then, and then 14 to 17. Then after 17, it just gets ugly for me. Um, yeah, I'd say there's 3 tiers, and that's about 18 teams deep where it's even worth talking about. Everybody else just has one mediocre, hopefully starter level talent for a long time to come.
That makes sense. Yeah, that one player that you like, hey, they're this age or whatever the case may be, that you can kind of at least sort of look forward to is like the bare minimum there. But yeah, I like that. Let's get to your number five. What is the number five team on your list, Zach?
All right. So, like I said, I mean, tier one through seven is very close. I mean, yes, one was easy for me, but after that, things got tough. I mean, I'll just say seven, I had Memphis, six, I have Houston, which is kind of crazy because before the year, I had Houston at number one. But Jalen Green's lack there of development or decline, you can say, was a big part of it. And then not playing Amin Thompson or him being hurt has hurt that. And I thought Jabari Smith would take a bigger leap. Um, also, Cam, I thought he'd have an impact already. He's slowly coming around, and I'm way higher on Tari Eason even than what he's done. Even he's been good. So I just want to shout out Houston just because they've dropped drastically in the first few months of this year for me. Number five, this is tough because their best, I don't know, two best players are better than the next. Yeah, their two best. If you, their second best guy at number five is better than my second team on this list, number two. So at number five, I have the Orlando Magic. And by that, I mean, Franz is better than any number two up this list, I think. But Paulo, I would project him having like a top 5 to 7 ceiling. I think he can become that good player in the league. I think he's for sure an all-star this year. I mean, if they keep losing, it's could get ugly for him, but I think they've won enough games to solidify his all-star appearance coming up here, and I like their depth. As in like a large core, I guess you could say. Wendell Carter Jr. is still in that, and I'd consider him a veteran by now. He's just about to turn 25. Jalen Suggs has really popped off. The rest, I mean, is up for debate. I mean, their core to me that I feel like they're building around right now is Paulo Franz and Jalen Suggs.
No, I like that. I think you're right. It is a more quality over quantity, I guess. Just because they may not have the biggest amount of young depth, and I mean young depth they do have. It's just like the 24 and under parameters that we roughly have here. But like you said, Franz, yeah, I would have him high. I'm very high on Paulo Banchero as somebody who's kind of been a go-to guy, a leader for this team, as a player that in the clutch they kind of go to. And as he's kind of finding his 3-point shot, and I just love his assertiveness and his lack of fear that he plays with. I think that's just really, really cool. And that's really a testament to this entire Orlando Magic team as a whole. But it's something I definitely like seeing in him. And yeah, I think that's really solid. I like that for sure. Do you think Franz is the potential for him, do you think, to be like the best player on the Magic? Do you think he can be? I mean, do you think he's better than Paolo now? Do you think he can be better than Paolo? I know it's kind of different, but at the same time, like Paolo to me, that
Yeah.
alpha style, I feel like is just what he has in spades.
So there's crazies out there that think Franz is better and that he can be better. I think that's kind of outlandish just based on athleticism and like their peaks. They're right now. Their highest of their highs. Paulo, I mean, so much better than Franz in my opinion. Franz is just rock solid. I mean, he's just what you're getting on a nightly basis, where Paulo, I mean, is a lot more volatile from a night-to-night basis. Looking like that Tesla stock right now as I was just on their earnings call. So, uh,
Oh wow.
uh, Paulo, I hope he really continues to go more linear and takes off. But I don't know. Like I said, I think Paulo has a top 5 to 7 players ceiling, where Franz, I think, maybe top 20 at his best. Um, and I've been that way. I've never been like any higher than that than on Franz. And like if for some reason this team falls out, like I put the majority of that. I mean, call me crazy or whatever, but I put the majority on it on everybody else, not necessarily Paulo, because I just think I mean, he's a ceiling raiser right now. He's not necessarily a floor raiser, and everybody else is the floor on the team.
I get what you mean. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think he's definitely more of a complimentary player than a guy like Paolo, who I think you kind of anchor around. You know what I mean?
100.
So I'm definitely with you on that. I definitely agree. Um, let's go into. I
Anybody
mean,
else?
huh? Well, we
Anybody
continue.
else
I'm
in the
sorry.
Anybody else in the Magic you want to shout out like that? I'm not giving credit to that you still believe in.
You know what's funny? I've been a Jalen Suggs guy. I wasn't really a huge, and this is why it's so weird. I wasn't really the hugest fan of him at draft, just taking where he was. I thought he was solid, but I definitely had questions about his shooting. And then lo and behold, like his shooting has been kind of like all over the place, at least as of the last 2 seasons or last year. But like this year, I definitely love the way he's played. His 3-point shooting, you've seen uptake both in the volume of shots that he's taking from three, and he's shooting just around 40% from three, taking 5 attempts per game. It's solid. And when you add that to the pesky just tenacity he brings on the defensive end, like, yes, do I see lead guard potential like was talked about when he first got drafted? I don't know. I mean, he's still young enough that could be a thing, but I don't see it. I see him more as like a 3 and D kind of guard. Who, I mean, even his playmaking, like I hate to be the guy just like at raw assist numbers, but he's averaging 2.4 assists per game. Like that's not great. I know you have guys who handle the ball who are bigger, like Apollo Banchero or Markel Fultz. I mean, even Joe Ingles is averaging more assists than him, and he's a guy in the archetype of a bigger creator. But at the same time, like, you know what I mean? Looking at what Jalen Suggs was in college, you thought some of that would carry over. And that hasn't, and that's not a knock on him. It's just not what I envisioned him being as a player. With that being said, though, with that shot coming together, yeah, I think you can definitely find yourself not only a role on this team, which he's found, but a really strong role as like a really good high-end connecting piece.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing a lot of similarities to Marcus Smart. I mean, he's not as good of a defender as Marcus Smart's peak is, but like he's very, very good, and he's only getting better on that end. But he's looking more of like a Marcus Smart than the Jalen Suggs I envisioned coming into here. I mean, way better shooter than Smart. I mean, it's crazy how much he's improved year after year. I mean, he started his rookie year at like 28% or 21% from three. He's up to
It was
39 off
rough.
five attempts now, and 36 from the field his rookie year. Now he's up to 46%. Um, those are numbers Marcus Smart doesn't touch. So I think he's their solidified two going forward. They have their 3 and the 4 as well. They need a 1 really bad.
Yeah, I think they definitely do. And you're right. Like you look at, they have guards. I mean, Markel Fultz is a very solid guard. He's just not that guy. And I don't even mean like not that guy in terms of age. He's still a younger player, just not that guy in terms of like overall fit, in my opinion.
Yeah,
As a guy, you need to have
bunch of
that shoots.
dudes.
Yeah, exactly. It shoots the ball a little bit, and yeah, I mean, he's just totally left the 3-pointer behind. But yeah, I agree. That's something they need to fix. I like Cole Anthony. I think he's somebody. I mean, he's 23. He definitely fits that scoring guard role off the bench. And so I think that is solid for him. And literally, he hasn't started like all of his games have been off the bench, like 25 minutes consistently off the bench. His shooting numbers could be better, just 43% from the field, 33% from three. But at the same time, like he knows, I guess his role is to kind of fill it up, right? And 13 points per game, that's not bad. And he brings at least some level of attempt at defense. And so I give a credit to that. But those are my guys. What do you think about Anthony Black? I wasn't high on him
I'm
being
like the
drafted
biggest.
as, huh?
Finish. Go for it.
Oh yeah, I wasn't the biggest Anthony Black guy. I could say off the top. Like I actually liked Arkansas. Like I liked that team. I'm a big Nick Smith Jr. fan, but that's more of my archetype of player I like, right? Anthony Black, cerebral, I get it, but the shot was, and this comes from a guy who has a Lonzo Ball shot. Like the shot didn't look consistent, it just looked different. And I'm like, how is he going to be able to be on the floor outside of defense and not shooting? Like the Magic have 4 of those guards already, right? And he's joined that team, and I mean, okay, the numbers don't look bad. 49% from the field, 35% from three. Like if you look at just that, great. He's taking 1 a game, right? From three. Like I'm glad he could be shooting 0% or whatever the case could be, but he's taking 1 a game. And then his shots, 49% from the field, he's taking 4 a game. Like he's so low volume, it's not even really a thing, 5 points per
Yep.
game, assist and a half. He looks good defensively, but he also has been very careless at times, making, kind of rush turnovers. And on the one hand, he's a rookie, he's 20, he's a guard. Those things stack up against you. On the other hand, I just think it was a good fit at all. So this isn't exactly making me look bad.
No, I'm with you on everything you're saying there. I'm like one of the biggest Anthony Black detractors. I was shocked they took him here. I didn't have him in my top 15 really pre-draft. I was that low on him. You're drafting a guy basically for his defense. I don't believe in his shots ever going to be consistent. I mean, he's only made 1 3-pointer or more in 13 games this year. He's only shot in 35% or greater from 3 in 10 games. He's only made 2 or more threes in 4 games. Like, the dude's doesn't bring anything besides like defense really, and then occasionally he's a good rebounder. Um, I don't believe in his playmaking either, just like Fultz. But I believe in Fultz' mid-range scoring ability a lot more and getting to the rim a bit. Um, Anthony Black, I always give rookies a pass. I'm kind of soft like that. You can say I'm really fragile with rookies. I just know that what it takes to develop. Look at Jalen Suggs here, and I'm going to give Black a chance, but I mean, I don't have much hope for him overall, to be honest. Um, Especially not with all the guards there, and I think he's in a terrible landing spot unless he just becomes an amazing defender and uh, kind of finds a role like, I don't know, Dante Exum now, I guess you can say. And even though Exum isn't doing a ton, but I mean, he's a good defender when he plays. And then I'm blanking on one other guy, not Cam Reddish. I mean, specialty like him, but kind of
Mhm.
Cam Reddish. Um, I'm, I'll get back to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
say
going to
which what
come to
type
me at some
player.
point.
Hmm.
But one thing that really surprised me is Fultz hasn't hit a three all year. I completely
No,
blanked on that. He hasn't
yeah,
hit 1 3 all year, and he's 25, so he doesn't even count in this conversation.
no. But he's somebody. No, but I know what you mean. He's one of those guys that like, and this is why I'm glad we kind of use that rough 24 and under because he fits a role in this team, right? Even though he's not part of the young core isn't really playing over him outside of injury and like different situational matchups. And so that's been the thing that's been really interesting to me. But you're right, like he's totally said, forget the 3-pointer, which if it wasn't today's NBA, I might be a little bit more for, right? But like, I don't know. I just, especially, I mean, it's again, he'll be someone, it's going to be so interesting to like read about him in the future. And I hate some of the crazy takes, but this is development from someone who shot the 3 ball and shot it pretty decently in Washington in college to the point where now, if you told me, see, would it completely give him the 3-point shot at all 6 years from now, I wouldn't have believed you. So I
Sure.
agree, but it just is one of those things where Jalen Suggs, yes, he's a starter, but like point guard, right? Cole Anthony seems to have found his role. It's coming off the bench, you're scoring minded 6-man, right? Anthony Black needs to find a role. We don't know what that is yet. Could it be point guard? Yes, but then you definitely probably want Jalen Suggs to shoot a little bit more. Like there's definitely, like you said, they need a point guard to like fix this kind of flux they have
Oh,
here at the guard spot.
they're lucky Franz and Paulo are great ball handlers and good playmakers. I mean, I think Paulo can become very elite in that area. Same with Franz as playmakers. And Wendell Carter
Mhm.
Jr., even good passer, great vision
Yeah.
for a big man. But they still, I mean, even to unlock those guys more. Did you have Orlando at 5, or who do you got at 5?
So I went a little bit different. I had Portland at 5.
Whoa, I
Yeah,
love
and
it. I love it.
yeah, I'm high on Portland. But like it's been weird because I guess I'm high on the potential of what they can be, right? I knew DeAndre Ayton was 25 and I left him off. Like I left him out. But like, and even I mean, listen, it wouldn't have helped if he was part of the core because the way he's been playing this season has been rough. But I looked at Anthony Simons is still 24. Shaden Sharp's had injuries and was plagued with some inconsistency and inefficiency from shooting when he was playing, but he's just 20. Chris Murray still counts as 23. Scoot Henderson's had a horrific year to start, but the last month has been getting better, and he's just 20. Like, I think this core, like I said, Anthony Simons ages out of it literally in a couple of months here, but they are an entertaining core. They have a different issue. They have too much of the same type of guard, I think. I mean, you look at Scoot, you look at Shaden, you look at Simons, they're all kind of scoring-minded guards. I think Henderson is more of the traditional point guard thing, if you will, and Simons can certainly play combo guard, and Sharp has shown some ability to do some of that as well. But they're all kind of in that same boat where none of them can really play the 3. And I mean just that between Simons and Sharp. That was never Henderson's role. And all of them definitely like to shoot the ball a bit. And so it is curious how the construction is there. But that's for me the core. And they have other guys. Tumani Kamara has been really cool. Liked him. I mean, he's not. I would say he's just a really solid role player. I wouldn't necessarily call him a core, and he also ages. I mean, he's gonna be 23, so he's not bad, but like he's a solid player as well. And that's just it for me. It's like those guys are the core for me. You know, I looked up. It's funny. I was watching the Blazers and getting ready for this podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, they got that one guy, Do Up Reith. He's a young guy. Do Up Reith is 27. I did not
Wild,
realize
right?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wild.
he's my age. Like I was like, oh, my bad. Well, younger than me. But point being, I was like, oh, they had no clue. But like they have this odd assemblage of talent, right? But those guys I mentioned are the ones for me. They just get a knock because one of them will be aged out in a minute. Simons. One of them's already aged out, DeAndre Ayton, and then Scoot's not look great. Chris Murray's been there, and Shane Sharp's been out. So like if you look at it in totality, there's not a whole lot yet we can look at to project forward. And if you look at it with just what they are right now, a lot of it's on the solid play of Anthony Simons. But the ceiling, I think they need more structure. I think that Sharp and Simons have a high ceiling. I mean, Sharp and Henderson have a high ceiling. I think Simons does too, but more in the role that he's already at, right? But yeah, I think that's just kind of what it is for me. I don't think Henderson's a bust at all. But I think there has to be a lot more to be seen in his motor, in his elevation. He looks so explosive in the G League. He's not looked that way here. And maybe that's just adapting to the pro game, or adapting to a different level of the pro game, because the NBA is different than the G League. Otherwise, they'd be all the same, right? But at the same time, it's looked rough. But yeah, that's my thing. I think so much is on him, on Henderson to kind of make this look better, and to a lesser extent, Sharp, since they're about the same age. But I like what I've seen mostly.
I like that you're still so high on him. I don't know where I'd have to go back and look, but I think they were my like top seven, 7 to 10 before the year. I have them at 13 right now, doing
That's
this
fair.
exercise, and that might even be generous in my opinion. But like, I
Mm.
still believe in Scoot wholeheartedly. I think he's only getting better with time, and I hate the fit with him, Shaden, and Anthony Simons. Um, really want to see Simons relocated, even though I love the athleticism of those three. Like I think it could be a lot of fun if they figured things out there, and somebody learned how to play defense as well. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think Scoot needs Simons gone to just be gifted the ball at all times to unlock his playmaking and his own system, develop his own system in Portland. I mean, they invested in him. They missed on Brandon Miller for him, which I mean that was a big deal because you're going to see how high I am on Brandon Miller. I think Brandon Miller's incredible, and he's extending. I shouldn't say that because he's not in my top five. So I'll just say Brandon Miller. I got them at 10. Um, but I believe in that core of just LaMelo, Brand Miller, Mark Williams so much more than I do in Portland.
That's fair. Although it is kind of funny because I'm not high on Charlotte like that. I have Charlotte next, so I don't know if where Charlotte is. We can definitely talk about them. But I have different thoughts on Brandon Miller, and it's funny because we both watched the Hornets, I'm sure, a lot, and I definitely I'm high on him as a player, just not high on his potential, if that makes sense. But we'll talk about them in a second. But yeah, let's actually, let's get to your next team. What is who is number 4 for you?
Yeah, so number 4, you might think that, I mean, this greatest prospect of all time, many say he might be the best. I'm not willing to say I'm taking him
Mm-hmm.
over the guys above him, and that's why I have San Antonio at 4 because I'm still taking these other players above Wemby because I know what they are, and I think I mean, obviously their floor is solidified above Wemby, but their San Antonio is only here at number 4 above all these other teams because of Wemby too. I mean, I love Devin Vassell. I just don't think he has a very high ceiling. Kellen Johnson's solid, but I don't think he's necessarily going to be a part of this core for much longer. I think it's
Mm.
Vassell and Wemby. So it's not much to go off of in San Antonio. It's literally just projecting Wemby and his value as a top 5, maybe the best player in the league at some point. So that's my thoughts on San Antonio. Do you have them even in your top 5, or Are they higher than 4 for you?
I'm not gonna lie. So I had Charlotte there. I'm gonna put San Antonio there because you made a good point there that I like. They were in my top 5 because Wemby. I mean, like
All right,
he's
you
been great.
got
He's been great. Now, mind you, you're right about the other guys. Like I think that Vassell and Keldon. I think the difference for them is that they're more like we don't know. Like Wemby can be like a guy, right? Like, and when I say that, I'm not even like he can be the best player. He can be like the ceiling for him right now is about as tall
is
as he is
number
right now.
1.
Like exactly, right? Whereas we
Yeah.
already know, we already know what Keldon and Devin are, and it's not bad players, but like they're not
I
like
think Devin can get a little better, but
I see you're
Keldon, I
more
don't see him
optimistic
getting
than
much
me.
better.
No, I think Devin's gonna be like your kind of. I think he can maybe do a little more off the bounce, but like he's your shooter, right? Defensive guy, shooter. I don't see him being a guy that you kind of like play through like in the guard spot. Like, and I mean he's kind of got an uptick in his assists, but he's not a guy I'm like, okay, crunch time, like we're going to Devin Vassell in that way. Like he's a supporting
Yep.
guy, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like if the ceiling is him being like a Bradley Beal type, I don't see that. And Bradley Beal, I mean,
That's
look at
funny.
him,
You
he's a
took it
third.
right out of my mouth.
Really?
Like
You
that's
you
what.
see him as that?
No, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like that's his play style. That's his play
Mm-hmm.
style. Like if somebody believes in him that much, that's the name that's coming to mind for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him ever getting to that level. So I
No.
mean, it's closer to be like, I mean, I'm talking player career wise, like an Eric Gordon maybe. Um,
Okay. I can see that. Even Eric
right?
Gordon had some moments. Yeah. No, I see what you mean though. That could work. Eric Gordon had a moment where he was wasn't he like a big free agent signing for I guess like for the Pelicans? I guess like I could see Devin playing on the
I
Pelicans
like
actually.
Call me crazy though. I mean, Eric Gordon's peak, yes, he's a better defender, but I think this version, like, I don't think Devin Vassell right now is that far from Eric Gordon's peak.
I mean, what?
I
Well, yeah, did Eric Gordon make an all-star team? No.
no.
Because otherwise we're talking,
He was
sub
close.
all-star, he was close, sub all-star, 20 points a game type guy. Yeah,
Yes.
I could see that. Yeah, I
I
could see
mean,
that. You're
see,
right. I'm looking at Eric Gordon because he's been around for so long. I'm like, oh yeah, he had no.
right.
If you look at his career, yeah, average between. Oh dang, you're right. He didn't even get. He had 22 points with the Clippers.
22.6 is his highest. Yeah.
Was topped out. So he's been. Yeah, I guess you're right. He's been between a 13 and 18 points, 13 and 17 point score. Topped out at 18 with the Rockets in 2018. Then he had 17 with the Rockets in 2021, and then of course he's been going into his mid 30s. But like, yeah, I guess you're right.
But
That
rock solid
that's a good
defender.
analogy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that one. I appreciate that. And I mean, it's hard because he's so young yet, and I feel like he's got a. I mean, I personally would say he's got a little higher ceiling than peak Eric Gordon, but not much,
Okay.
not much.
Yeah. And what do you think about Keldon? Because I actually like Keldon. I think he's definitely someone who I don't know. He played the power forward, but he's really a small forward in his size. Big guy, can get some rebounds. Not really great there. Definitely more scoring minded, but he's grown a little bit as a passer. But he's never going to be like a hub. But I feel like he'd be a good like secondary guy. Even probably ideally your third guy. Someone who can make a play off the ball. So we can knock down the three at a high clip. Create a little bit of offense in a pinch, but not something you rely on. Like, what do you think about him? Because I think he's still a solid player. Do I think his ceiling is anything more than what he is now? No. And I think we've had the benefit of seeing going on 3 years now of Keldon and Vassell in various iterations to see what it could be. And I think we kind of know,
I
but
think
I'm
he's
curious on your take.
Yeah, I think he's very underrated. I don't think anybody gives him enough credit, but like I could also see him be traded by this deadline. Like I think he's very disposable for San Antonio because it wouldn't be dumb to sell high on him because I think his value is decent right now based on his statistics. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's just not a winning player. I mean, his statistics don't translate to winning. He's been in the league 5 years now. I mean, he's a guy though that every team needs. I feel like he could be valuable on just about every team, and there's very few. There's probably 20, 30 players in the entire league I say that on. Um, all depends what his next contract's going to command too, which I don't think it should be a ton. He still has 3 more years on a very, very good deal. 20, 19, 17.5, 17.5, which I think is a steal for a guy like him in this economy. The salary cap's just booming.
Yeah.
So I think he's on a great contract. So it's tough to get rid of that. And he's been pretty durable. Say he's been very durable. No, not as durable as I thought. I'm glad I checked on that. Um, 63 and then 17. So he's at a 69, 75. He's played every game this year though. So
I mean, hey, there's something to be said for that now, and I guess, and even in that way, there's kind of an improvement there, right? In addition to like some good injury luck there, but yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. I just Wemby is kind of the star of the show, and rightfully so. You know, if his three ball comes together, we've already seen like one highlight play. It seems every time he plays, right? And then he's had some great matchups. He had, you know, a good back and forth with Giannis. The game that Embiid scored 70, you know, for the fourth time this season. Wemby scored 30 plus, scored 33. Like, yeah, there's been some issues. I mean, not really a whole lot, but like, I think Embiid finally did what many people thought would happen to Wemby when it comes to defending bigger, stronger guys. But like, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, we finally see what all the detractors to Wemby, including myself at times, were saying could happen against the Embiids, against the Jokic. Because in my mind, Wemby was always going to play five. Like, people are always going to play four. No, and I think we see that now. Like, his ideal position was five, always. At the same time, there's only really one Jokic and one Embiid. So it's not like that's the thing that happens often. And
right.
Wemby is a really strong dude. It just shows you how much bigger those guys are. So there's like a few plays we've been putting in the basket, but if you think about it, every time you've seen Wembanyama play, there's been a big block, some clutch scoring, like great, you know, he loves the mid-range, he loves the three. And on the one hand, I wish the numbers were better, but on the other hand, he's a guy who's not afraid of taking that shot, and he showed he can make that shot. And you could see him as like the nexus for the Spurs. If other guys like Devin Vassell or Keldon Johnson or, you know, I don't know, even to a lesser extent, Coach Popovich realize that they need to get him the ball more.
Yeah, I'm not worried about his growth whatsoever. I still have him as a ceiling as a number one guy in the league potential. I mean, I'll be shocked if he doesn't become a top 10 player within the next 2 years. I think he's that good and trending that way. Like, I didn't expect anything more than this, to be honest. This is basically 20 and 10 is I'd say the exact stat line I probably predicted coming in. Um, like if you go back and listen to my pods in the summertime, that's probably those exact numbers that I said.
Exactly what
Maybe
you went
a
for.
tad different percentages, but probably not by much. So I think he's right on schedule. I'm not going to say he's exceeding expectations, though. He's meeting them. But
Okay.
you can't exceed those expectations either. Let's be real. I
Yeah.
mean, the expectations are as high as they ever got. So you got to give the guy some slack.
That is true. That is true. No, I'm with you on that. I like it. I think that this team's going to be one that's interesting. I want to see who they go for in the draft, especially with this draft class. Goodness. And then also like internal development and where they kind of go moving forward. But you're right. This team definitely has a bright future, and a lot of that is because of Wembanyama. But let's get to number three. Who's number three up here?
Yep, these are my boys right here, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Got to do it with Ant and Jaden. Um, that's a duo to be reckoned with, and then Naz Reid's been tremendous. That's about it. That's the core right there. Um, it's crazy because you think about like I'm looking over this as I'm making these decisions. Like Houston's core is still extremely deep, in my opinion, one of the deepest in the league. That's six. Uh, Memphis has two All Stars already in Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. And then just I think good pieces around them when they're all healthy. But then like New Orleans is really deep. And that's about it. So Minnesota at three, I mean, I feel good about just because Ant, like his ceiling. I personally think he can be top three in the league at his ceiling. It's just I haven't seen the growth this year I'd like, to be honest. I mean, he hasn't grown a ton from last year. Like he was just amazing. He's amazing. Don't get me wrong. He's really exciting, but like he's still taking a lot of dumb shots. He's still not that mature as a player. He's still pretty unpolished. It's just he's so incredibly talented, and his playmaking is about the same as last year. I'm not going to say it's that much greater. It's just Mike Conley has done wonders for this team, and Anthony Edwards ends up getting so much of the credit. Um, it's unfortunate because Cat has been amazing. outside of the blunder of a 62-point game that everybody's making fun of, and I'm in that category. Yes, it was one of the worst
Hmm.
60-point performances ever, and that necessarily
Hmm.
wasn't Carl's fault either. It was the whole team's fault, and the coach did a decent job of calling that out. But
Yeah.
and I mean, growth isn't always linear, okay? I mean, growth is sometimes a lot of this, and so I'm hoping, I mean, it really takes off sooner than later, but like
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest, like it hasn't been the leap from last year to this year like I was hoping for, thinking. But as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, sitting first in the West, you're not gonna hear me bitch about anything. Like this is a dream come true. Um, I love it, and it's so fun and exciting to watch. But yeah, I mean, I want him to reach his full potential, and I'm not necessarily sure this coach is Finch is the guy to get it done. And the roster's like decently fit, but I'm a firm believer the talent exceeds the fit in this on this team right now.
Hmm.
I love the talent on this team, and I don't necessarily love the consistency the team plays with.
That's fair. I'm a big Ant fan. I'm a huge Ant fan. So like I think he's definitely gotten better. I think, like you said, Mike Conley's rubbed off on his play for sure. And I actually like some of the passing reads he's given. It's not consistent enough by any stretch, but he's had moments where like, okay, he's dominant. You cannot stop him. Like he's going to get his, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? If anything, I'm a little more down on them because of Jaden McDaniels. Like, aside from being a defensive minded player, that's great, but like the idea was, okay, he's one of the best wing defenders at 23, and what offensive potential he might have. But like we've seen this season, the numbers look fine. 51% shooting, 37% from three, but it's 11 points. Like he looks like a low volume offensive guy who's really good defensively. So in other words, Herb Jones. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
like
he's a way
I may.
better shooter than Herb,
I mean, even that.
and
Okay, Herb has picked up the shooting though. I feel like this season, Herb's been really solid from three. Herb shooting better than Jaden McDaniels from three.
yeah, I just don't.
Just under
I don't trust.
40%.
I don't trust the shot. I mean, consistently. I mean, the numbers say, yeah, but
Yeah.
um, hang on.
And like on more. Although I will say I agree with you. Like I if you ask me to trust one over the other, I'd probably trust Jaden McDaniels over Herb Jones. But at the same time, one's taking, they're both taking about three a game. Okay, Herb's taking they're both taking about the same amount of threes per game.
Yeah, I will give
3.3
you this.
for, yeah, they're both like low volume shooters who are good defenders. I'd say Herb's what,
So
older?
Nas
Yeah, Herb's
Nas
older.
Reed's really taken away from Jaden McDaniels, and
Mm,
we have decided to go a little bit deeper than I'd like, minutes wise. I don't like our bench outside of Nas Reed, and they definitely. I mean, definitely, it's the minutes don't say how deep we go at times, but like
okay.
Jaden was getting comparisons to Jalen Brown if he took a leap last year. Like people were thinking that's kind of like his ceiling. Play style, I see it. I mean, he's not a very good ball handler. I mean, he's not the smartest player in the world, but
Hmm.
amazing athletically. He's got great moves when he gets to his spots. Good footwork and just a good defender. But um, the opportunity he has isn't near what Jalen Brown ever did. I mean, I think there's more to Jaden than we're seeing. But I don't know if like well, he doesn't initiate it either. So I mean, he could take it because the offense allows him to. I believe that. If he wanted to be a guy like that. Uh,
Okay.
but he tends to just sit back and play within whatever system we're trying to play at times, which I don't think is necessarily a consistent system. But yeah, I don't know if he doesn't have the killer mentality Jalen Brown has. So I think it's more of a go get it offensive mentality, and I think I would give Jalen Brown the favor there.
Okay. No, I like your analysis, and someone you said you're a Timberwolves fan. Like, I'm not gonna say, oh, I know more than the guy watching all of the games. I've
Call
watched
me
a fair
out.
share, but
I
like,
mean, you tell me what you see.
yeah, no, I like it for sure. I'm definitely someone who I am. I'm still high on him. I think for me, a lot of it is on the shoulders of Ant. I can't lie. Like Naz Reid, I think the only knock on Naz Reid, if there is any on my for me, is that he just ages out soon. So like, or does he age out soon? Let me just check. I had to make sure. It was he's 24. Yeah, he aged out soon. By beginning of next season, he won't be in this anymore. So in my mind, he's still gonna be a stud, a rock solid player here, and he's a very solid backup center for sure. I guess I would worry what would happen if you were to, let's say, trade Karl-Anthony Towns, which I'm sure we're now going to have a Timberwolves centric episode at some point here with you. Because in my mind, if given the financial situation that the Wolves are under next season, what to do at point guard is a big question. But the other question is, do they move from Cat? And if they do move from Cat, what is the role for Naz Reid there? Because I don't know if I like him as a starter full time. And you also already have Gobert, who's probably not being. I mean, this is probably going a little bit to a separate total conversation. But I guess Naz Reid will still stand to factor as a major part of this team, regardless. Just for the young core conversation, he will no longer be that. And so in my mind, if you look at that, okay, great. Right now, yeah, I say at 3 as well, just because of his status. But a lot of it, like 75% of it, is probably off the back of Anthony Edwards, how good he is at how young he is and what he can possibly be,
Yep.
And then, of
No,
course,
I
Jaden
mean,
McDaniels with some credit there, too.
Jaden's technically looked at the 4th or 5th option on this team, maybe even 6 at times. Like, it's unfortunate because I do think he has a lot more to give. Like, think about him in San Antonio. I think he could be averaging 20 in San Antonio. I really do. I think he'd fit great there. And um, yeah, I think he's better than Keldon Johnson. I believe that to a core.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the opportunity isn't necessarily there, and he's not trying to take it either, which is fine because it's working. But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
this team this team isn't a championship contender in my eyes, and I've said it all year. Even if we finished in the top 3, what have you, number 1, even in the West. Like, I don't believe this team has what it takes in the playoffs. Um, and Jaden McDaniels, if he developed, I would believe that. If he developed into what I thought he could be last year.
That's fair. No, I'm with you on that. I totally
Last
get you on that for sure.
last question on this topic though, Jaden, where's your ceiling at for him now?
Jaden, for me, I'm gonna say a solid 3rd option at this stage. I want to.
I'll take it.
He could be. He could. He's still young enough that he could be like a high end second. I just haven't seen it yet. I just haven't seen it. And like, as you get older, you run out of time. That you look at him like, I don't know. Maybe he has like a late career. This is why I always say, like you said, to go off what you said about growth isn't linear. We had a guy in Jeremy Grant who became a
Yeah.
go-to scorer. At age 27. Like he'd been a raw guy, wasn't even in people's top young cores in his early 20s. Then he became a solid guy who could knock down a 3-ball, kind of grew into it. And then all of a sudden, he was his go-to scorer, right? And I mean, for bad teams, of course, but like a guy who all of a sudden is hitting middies, off the dribble, knocking down threes at a decent volume. Like nobody saw that development early, and it didn't happen 22, 23, 24. It was like 25, like 24, 25. He was starting to knock down some threes. 26. Well, wait a second. Whoa, like that. So, like with that mindset, of course, that's a rare thing. I would say him and Pascal Siakam are like 2 different rarities in the developmental cycle. But like, that's not to say Jaden McDaniels couldn't be that. And he is younger. But at the same time, just based off of what I've seen, is he not as aggressive enough because he knows he has Ant there? Is he not as aggressive enough because he's, focusing on defense? Like that could be a thing. So for right now, I see him a solid 3rd. And I think that's still a really good spot. But, there's potential to move up. I think you're muted, bro.
Oh no, I'm completely with you. Everything you said, I think he's a
Oh,
solid
appreciate
3rd
you.
option. Yeah,
Yeah.
who'd you have at 3?
As we were talking, so I moved people around. Memphis wasn't on my list at all. Memphis wasn't on my list at all because not because they're not good. I mean, the problem is they're both 24. Like they're both 24. Jaws missed some time. Whatever you think about him off the court, whatever. I don't know. All I care about is if you on the floor, and he hasn't been on the floor, and that's just been the issue, right? And Jaren Jackson Jr. has been solid, really good defensive player, all of that as well. But like, and he's a really good shooter. I think he's definitely gotten so much better as an offensive guy, even more of a go-to offensive player. But foul trouble is still a thing for him. And I feel like both him and Desmond Bane are both better suited as third options. And Desmond Bane is already 25. So like that's kind of the mindset of where I was going with them. So I didn't have them in it at all. I just wanted to reference them. Who I had number 3 was Indiana. And that was largely off of Tyrese Halliburton. But
I'm a big
Benedict
Mathurin
Mathurin's
guy.
Solid. Yep, there. Yep, take it out.
Benedict
Mathurin's been solid.
I think Indiana's holding him back though. So, I mean, the rest of that core. I mean, I have Indiana at 8, and they're the first of my tier 2. I had Memphis at 7, just because Ja and Jaren are both all-stars, and then the rest. I mean, basically outside, it's Tyrese and Benedict Mathurin for me versus Ja and Jaren, and obviously that goes to Memphis, edge to them. The rest, I mean, other pieces like the Jarris and the GG Jacksons type, like you can debate both sides there outside of those two guys. I do think Indiana is holding Benedict Mathurin back. Like I really, really like the guy. I still think he has all-star potential. I just don't know if he's gonna reach it in Indiana. I think he's not getting the opportunity that I think he deserves and can handle. But time will tell, and maybe he eventually starts by the end of the year or this year. But it's weird for me because I mean, yeah, they're fighting for defense, even though that team has no defense in general. So why not just go all in on offense? And um, I love when he's out there and moving and grooving, and I think he could be something very special. And I had some crazy ass takes on him last year, but they've definitely cooled off this year.
I get you on that. I'd also like a good acknowledgement, like, hey, and hey, who knows? But like, I definitely wonder if it's just more progression on his side, or if it's the system, and he does need to play more in a system that is for him, And I don't know. I haven't seen enough for me to say that, but at the same time, like that could very well be a thing, right? And so that's really my question. Like, is it the system that fits? Because you would think, I mean, playing a wide open offensive system with a coach who knows how to maximize guards and a point guard who seems to know how to get guys involved, that he'd be a lot bigger than he has been.
My thing is there's just so much youth there, and Rick Carlisle is trying to find any defense possible. Mathurin's not providing really much of that. So they have plenty of offense, and so they're trying all these guys, Nemhard, Neesmith, Nora, even Bruce Brown, and Bruce Brown was supposed to be the defensive specialist, didn't do shit for that there. Kendall Brown, even they sprinkled him in there. Ben Shepherd now. But yeah, there's so much youth and trying to spread out all these minutes, and it's Buddy Hield, TJ McConnell, they still getting theirs, and that's a lot of guys that they're just trying all these different things, tinkering around, and I mean, Buddy's knows his role. He knows he's very consistent. He fits very, very well with just about anybody, and especially Tyrese Halliburton. So Mathurin's kind of just fitting in where he can fit in, and his talent is showing in his 25 minutes. I think he's definitely in the top 3 6-man of the year in my opinion. I have him in that award, but like I think he's more than that. I want him to be more than that, but Rick Carlisle says otherwise.
Yeah, and Rick Carlisle's
I'm
one
not
of the
the
great
coach.
ones, but definitely set in his ways. No, I'm with you on that for sure. No, but I like them. I think Tyrese Halliburton is a guy who is really the star. Again, I lean more toward like that one star guy. And then obviously Jarace Walker is still just 20, right? Andrew Nemhardt's been solid, 23, good backup point guard. I just this is the first time that I think the Pacers are known for their offense first and foremost, right? I think right now their ceiling is a first round knockoff. We'll see what they have. Pascal Siakam, they needed a wing, like a legit wing, and now they have that. And also they need to see what Jarace Walker does. I mentioned they picked him. He's age-wise, he's 8th overall selection, barely gets on the floor, right? So it's some of that
they don't
Carlisle's coaching is some of that. Like what I don't know the reason to that, and I didn't really go like surmise as to why that is the case, but all we know is that is indeed the case. And so like I definitely want to see more development there. But as it stands right now, I mean, look, you looking at a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, top 10 point guard in the NBA. You know what I mean?
He's a dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy. So that's why I have them there. But let's get to your number 2. We're moving on up here.
Yeah. Basically, it's Luka Doncic and Derek Lively. I mean, that's
Whoa, I
Luka's
like
better.
it.
Luka's better than Ant. You could argue he's the best on this list, but the team above him, I think, has a better player right now. It's close. But Luka, yeah, I mean, they're our number 2 here. If they didn't even have Lively, I'd still probably put him at number 2, maybe number 3, 4 ish. No, I'd probably have him at number 4 if they didn't have Lively. I think Lively bumps him a couple spots for me. So it's Josh Green. You can maybe argue that he's a part of this core for the long run, but he's been inconsistent for me. Other than that, I mean, I liked Olivier, who they drafted, but he hasn't done anything. I thought he was, I mean, he's a rookie, so you got to give him time. But yeah, it's a 2-man core here. So take it for what you will. I mean, that Indiana, we just said they have like 8 to 10 guys that fit into this parameters here that could all be rotation players. And so you could talk me into them being number 2, depending on what type of ceiling you believed in a couple of those other guys. But yeah, I'm pretty firm on Dallas being number 2 just because of Luka. It's a star league, baby.
That's solid. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I had Dallas also number 2, but this is the thing. I only had it for Luka, and I was tempted. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I wanted to put Houston there. And I think I wanted to put Houston there because I wanted to put Houston in the conversation, not because they've actually been there. Like one guy in Luka who's been just amazing, right? Like one of the best players in the league, top 5 in the league at his age. Like how much does that put over some guys who have some promise, some guys who've been pretty solid themselves, some guys who are just young enough in Houston? I'm reading a 21-year-old Alperen Sengun, a 21-year-old Jalen Green, although he struggled, a 20-year-old Jabari Smith Jr., who I'm personally still high on, a 22-year-old Tari Eason, and I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna leave Dallas as an honorable mention. I'm gonna put Houston number 2. I can't
I love it.
that's my number 1. I'm gonna put Houston number 2. Yeah, it's hard
No,
because
it's
again,
deep,
I bring
man.
all these
Deepest
guys.
core.
Yeah, they're really deep and young. I definitely want to see who is the alpha here. Who is the leader of the team right now? Is it Fred VanVleet? I would say, right? And then like Jalen Green seems to be the highest drafted player, and then Sengun is probably the best player. But like, how does that work out? Because Jalen Green has all the tools, and it hasn't been put together yet. Jabari Smith Jr. still needs to work on some things, but like, I still believe in a 6'10" guy who could shoot, even though he's been up and down the shooting. Amen Thompson has a defensive destructive force all over him. We just got to see it. Tari Eason's already been proving that, and Alperen Sengun's been like a Jokic light in terms of like a big man hub type guy that you can run offense through.
No, LP is definitely their number 1. That's who they're building around. I mean, he's solidified there for at least another year. They're winning enough games. He's the hub. He's definitely really capable of running an offense. I mean, he's fighting for an all-star spot right now. It's just there's so much talent in this league, so they got to keep winning a little bit at the level they're at. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Green before the year even, I still thought he had all-star potential. I'm not there anymore right now. I just mentally, I think he's something's messed up in his head. I don't know what's going on, but um, doesn't look like he fits. And a lot of times, I mean, he should be benched at times. It's crazy. Like looking closer to like a Jordan Clarkson than anything. And it's unfortunate because his athleticism is insane. I mean, he had multiple 40-point games last year, and they were good. They were meaningful, I thought. Jabari Smith, I mean, I think he might even have a higher ceiling than Jalen, which is fine. I love Jabari. I think his growth has been just fine. I love the rate he's going at. Tari, like I said, I would love to see him start or unlock him because I really, really believe in Tari. I mean, I've had the guy on my show. I think he's a special dude. Like, I think he's a great teammate. I think he's a grinder too. But then you throw in Amen Thompson, man, another freak, another really intelligent player, a really just all around guy that outside of his shot. and so they have so much there, and they have these veterans too. It's hard. Nobody's going to reach their full potential when you got that much talent. So you got to pick and choose. Um, right now, they're definitely picking LP. And Jalen
Hmm.
Green's had a chance this year, but I don't see him much longer getting an opportunity in Houston with this offense because I mean, Ime wants to win, Fred wants to win, Dylan Brooks wants
Hmm.
to win, and they got dudes to try out. So it's going to be interesting. I
Yeah,
really believe in so many guys on that team, and I'd love to see them be developed because Jalen Green's had a shot.
yeah. No,
Next,
hmm I was gonna say, do you see Houston moving off of him?
you if you really believe in the guys like I do on the bench, like you got to condense it at some point. Like rookies, their value doesn't last very long unless you
Hmm.
show anything. Like Cam Whitmore's been amazing in the G League, and he's been okay when he stepped in. I'd be
True.
very comfortable moving off Jalen Green for him and Amin Thompson and what's going on, but you just got to figure out who else you're moving with him and what you're trying to bring in. To me, like the pieces I would keep right now would be obviously Fred, Dylan Brooks, LP, and then Jabari,
Okay.
4. So, yeah, you're probably trying to get a better 2, or maybe depending on who's available, like maybe even get rid of Jabari, a perfect 4, because then you got a less expensive version of Tari Eason, who I believe in just as much as Jabari. Um,
Mm.
that's the route I would go. I mean, for me, it's LP, and then everybody else is kind of movable, to be honest.
That's fair.
And you have all these pieces that can fit together, but it's a tough puzzle. It's going to be interesting what happens. I just hate wasted talent. And I said this all along, and I've been right about it. Besides Jalen Green, I'll tell you that.
There you go. Listen, and
Big
again,
miss.
another team I knew. I was about to say another team I knew when we got to that you would have a level of authority on with this Houston Rockets squad. So yeah, I'm gonna leave them too. I like that, but I guess that leads us to our number one. I feel like we're both on the same team, but I'm gonna let you reveal your number one. I'm gonna let you know if I have them, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Probably the most fun team in the league outside of maybe the Clippers. I mean, I think Clippers are as fun of a team as we've seen in many years. I just love the way they're playing together. The vibes are immaculate.
Yes, they are.
Definitely those guys. I'd throw the Sixers in there a little bit. I mean, yeah, they're both top 3 to 5 league pass teams, you can say. But SGA, man, he's my MVP so far. Like that's how much I like him and this team. And he's strictly the MVP off games played. Embiid's been the best player. He's played in 10 less games. Sorry, but
Mm-hmm.
that's important. The V
That does.
matters. Like last year, though, Embiid lost it for midway through the season, and then he regained it at the end because of the games played. But I mean, Shea's been pretty durable. I said this earlier too, and then he missed a lot of games last year. So I got to be careful with that durable word, I guess. But Chet Holmgren is a perfect number 2. He's an all-star waiting to happen. He's a borderline all-star right now. One of the best rookies. This is one of the best rookies we've seen. I tried to go through this like
Mm-hmm.
LeBron-ish, LeBron maybe.
Whoa.
Seriously, like value-wise, like he's been that good. Like, mind you, his counting stats. Fuck that. Like the value
Mm-hmm.
this guy brings as a two-way player
Mm-hmm.
and just intelligence-wise and mindset, the clutchness he brings to this game. Like Wemby's counting stats are gaining the gap, but like it's not even close right now. That the rookie of the year race, in my opinion, and I don't really even acknowledge any other opinion on this because I mean, he's the number one, number two team. I think they're better than Minnesota because they play more as a team more consistently. But they're young, and
Yeah,
the size thing's gonna matter in the playoffs.
yeah.
So
Also,
that's
young
what
teams in
scares
the
me.
playoffs. We haven't seen them in the playoffs yet. Like they
Yeah,
look good right now, but we don't know what they're actually going to look like when the playoffs start.
yeah. Nor
I
do
think
I
we have a
care,
good idea.
honestly.
Oh, you don't really even care?
Yeah. To be honest, like I give all young teams their first trip to the playoffs. I mean, Shea's been there, so he doesn't necessarily get a pass on his performance, but everybody
Hmm.
else on the Thunder, you get at least 1 to 2 years of just figuring it out, learning how to play in the playoffs. So like they could yeah, they could underperform in the playoffs. I don't really give a shit. I'm not going to hold that against them. And then we didn't even mention their third wheel.
Hmm.
Like they have a big three. Jalen Williams, I think, has all-star potential. Some people may argue he's slightly better than Chet. I'm not there, but I love him too. Like, there's three guys. Like they have the talent on their roster outside of more girth next to Chet Holmgren to win a championship. Their ceiling right now is conference finals contender at their peaks. If everybody reaches their peak, they're not there obviously yet, uh, but they just got to find a bigger body somewhere. I don't know where that's going to come from. Maybe just
Yeah.
Jalen Williams keeps getting bigger, bro. I don't know.
What do you think about a Larry Markkinen fit?
I love that. I mean, but he's maybe not the girth like that they need. I mean, maybe he plays bigger next to Chet than I imagine, but
Hmm.
I don't really look at him like that. It could be just enough height where because here's the thing, all that it matters is Jokic and Embiid. Okay, Giannis. Those are the three guys. Anthony Davis, yes. Okay, so yes, there's four teams there, mainly. Mainly Jokic. I don't really consider the Lakers a contender right now. I think they can figure out how to get past flopping soft Anthony Davis right now.
Oh wow,
But
I'm a Laker
sorry,
fan, my guy.
I know. I mean, I know. I had to throw. I
Yeah,
feel for
you
you
had
'cause
to.
I was so high on your team before the year, man. Go back and check the tape. I look bad on the Lakers right now because I still
I,
believe in their depth, but Darvin Ham, fuck
no, I'm
me.
with you. I'm with you on that. I gotta be the same. Like he's just I, hands in his pockets. That's that's
Yeah.
that's that's him all the time. I was watching. I think I retweeted on Twitter. It was so funny. And I like. Here's the thing. Darvin Ham, by all accounts, an amazing person. No disrespect to that. I think
Seems
that's
like it.
important, right? He seems like an amazing person, stand-up guy. He does not seem like the X and O's guy I want coaching my team. And he was talking about it was a I'll send it to you later if I can remember. A tweet of him during a coach's huddle. He was like, listen, like mind you, it's a 30-second clip, and he's taking like 5 seconds in between each sentence, like, just keep playing hard, passing the ball. We're doing great. Salute. And I went, salute? Did the dude
I
just say
heard the
salute?
salute.
Exactly. And I'm just like, oh my God. But like, that's just like, like you just,
I heard
and
that.
yes, okay. So it was like, bro, what are we doing here? Like, you got LeBron AD, like, look at you, like, and you saying salute, like, anyway, like, he cool, but he just not somebody I want as running my team. But so for that being said, I'll take the Lakers flag. I'll take the Laker flag. That's fair.
Alright. And you guys have had your fair share of fun. I
You
hate
know,
wasting Anthony Davis and LeBron's greatness yet. I mean, I know
yeah,
LeBron's not anywhere near what he once was, and I blame a lot of the failures on LeBron.
I agree.
But I don't
Imagine if
think
he
there's
hadn't
very
had that
many
Westbrook
coaches.
season.
Yeah, to Ham's credit, I don't think there's very many coaches LeBron would even listen to right now. Like
True.
I almost wish that LeBron would go to like Sixers or something, and somewhere
Mm-hmm.
where like they're going to be great with or without any version of LeBron, and it just doesn't matter because everything's so great around him. you
Yeah,
know,
something to
uh,
lessen the load on him.
right? Where I think the Sixers would be one of those few teams. Like Miami would be sick too, um,
Yeah.
because I just think there's dogs and they don't need guys that don't need much structure that are just ballers, and can figure it out. But anyways, Back to the Thunder to wrap things up here. I would say I do not believe in too much of anything else besides their big three, like a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're good players. I think they're better than I give them credit. I like Giddy. I think Giddy's very good, but I don't really like the fit there. I think he's an odd man out there.
Yeah.
Um, Isaiah Joe's solid. I like Dort a lot. Great, great guy to have on your team. And
Yeah.
he's one of those 30 players that every team needs. That
Mm-hmm.
fits on every team. But it's like everybody else is, yeah, carousel, disposable, whatever you want to say.
You
Besides
kind of know
those
what they
three.
are. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
and like interchangeable younger guys.
right. Cason
That's fair.
Wallace, I don't give
Oh.
nearly the credit he deserves, but he's very sneaky good. Um, and I think I'm going to be wrong on him forever. I hope because I was really low on him pre-draft too, and so we'll see what happens there. But I've been right on Chet, and I've been right on SGA, and I've been right on Jalen Williams. So I'll take my percentages.
There you go. Hey, your numbers don't look bad. I will take them too. I get you on that. But yeah, that wraps it up for us. I mean, this was number one for me. So were the Thunder. So I'm glad we did this. I think this is fun. Just kind of going through these squads and trying to see where they are. We have to probably do this again in a couple months toward the end of the year, maybe, and see kind of okay, are we higher or lower? On some of these teams as we get more run time for these young guys as some of these teams start to kind of either bottom out or really just like know where they are. So that'll be
For
good. But I
sure.
want to thank you, Zach, for hopping on, man. It's been a pleasure having you on here, talking hoops with you. Again, someone who's been a resident of NBA Twitter for a bit. And again, been around for a bit, knows their stuff. And like you said, the numbers don't look bad on your predictions here. But let the good folks know where they can find you and more of your work, man.
My dude, yeah, I appreciate you having me on and great conversation. I always like talking young cores and development. My favorite part about the NBA, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets me intrigued and excited watching the growth. But Zak Noble, ZAK Noble on Twitter. That's about it. Unless you're gonna find me on LinkedIn a little bit. But all things NBA, all things ball is life. That's where we promote it. Anywhere you listen to a podcast. But Chris Persianen, Albert Wynn, those are my co-hosts. We do a little bit of gambling talk. Chris is becoming a really good insider, mainly for the Knicks, but CAA, good inside information there and around the league. So try to touch on every team all the time. So check us out. Appreciate any subscribes and any banter on the waves. Hit me up.
Hey, y'all definitely make sure to check that out and do it. Like I said, guy knows the stuff, is down for a conversation. Those are my favorite types of people on Twitter, on NBA, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I appreciate that, man. But as far as myself, listen, y'all can follow me on Twitter at Corban NBA, CORBAN NBA, check out Sports Ethos, at Sports Ethos, Switch Theory at Switch Theory, all the good things there. We'll hope to have more cool guests like we had here with Zach. Just more stuff coming up here down the pipeline. Trying to stay active, trying to get after it. You all know how it is. But until next time, y'all. For Zach, for myself, we are Frosty. Y'all stay frosty, and we'll talk to y'all real soon.